Welcome back to Irwin's Real News. And you guessed it, I'm taking a very brief break from trying to piss everyone off. You're welcome. There's a few times in my life where I've found something out and I'm like, wow, that explains so much. Today we're going to be talking about one of those things. One of those things was finding out about voting demographics. You ever wondered why black women are put up on a pedestal and white men are told they're evil just for being born? Look at how they vote. White men are the only demographic that majority votes against socialism. Black people vote 90% for their slave masters. Who do you think the social engineers are going to prefer? Then we've got average IQs. If you look at all the statistics and then you look at average IQ, it's basically identical. Then there's also the statistics for having two parents. Pretty much decides your entire future. And eventually, I found The Fourth Turning. And you don't even have to buy the book and read it. One of the authors is still doing videos. One I keep recommending is one he did with Tony Robbins. Just put Tony Robbins Fourth Turning into YouTube. It'll pop right up. Check it out. So it basically talks about the cycle of civilization that's been going on in the Western world. The Anglo-American saeculum. And we start with the first turning, which is a high. Then the second turning, we have an awakening. And then the third turning, we have an unraveling. And then in the fourth turning, we have a crisis. We are currently living through a fourth turning. What happened in other fourth turnings? Well, we've got the War of the Roses, Armada Crisis, Glorious Revolution, American Revolution, American Civil War, Great Depression and World War II, and what's next? The Great Reset. Generally, these turnings go from about 18 to up to 25 years. It's pretty much a full life of about 80 to 100 years, cut into 4 different phases. And then when you were born in these crises, you react to it differently. You see it differently, which gives us different archetypes. We've got nomads, we've got heroes, artists, and prophets. So where you were born in the crisis or in the awakening changes what your generation's archetype is. And it's usually the cycles of war, the cycles of economic depressions and booms. Those determine what your generation is like. Obviously, all this stuff, there's always exceptions. These are more generalities and averages. I mean, we can clearly see the difference between even millennials and Gen Z, but you want to compare to like boomers to Gen Z? Yeah, clearly they're very different people, but what controls that? It's this cycle. It's a boom and bust. Not just economics, also for civilizations. There's a gentleman named George Modeleski. He sees it, the generational mechanism, as something a little different. He sees it as constructive, adaptive, normative, and competitive. Many different ways you can look at this. And these cycles aren't just for the West, the Anglo-Saxons. This is for the entire world. They even talk about cycles going back to like the Old Testament times. So you can ignore this all you want. You can pretend like, oh, that doesn't have an effect on me or us as a society. Yeah, well, that'd be a first. I will say, though, the next political documentary I'll make, if I ever make it, is about the fourth turning. I want to call it the final turning, because that is what the globalists are attempting with their Great Reset. They know that this high and then the awakening is coming. And after that next awakening, we are getting rid of them permanently. They are not coming back, and we are going into the stars. That's why they have to use this fourth turning, this crisis. They have to destroy us all. They have to turn it into the final turning. Destroy the civilizational cycle and put us into a nightmarish dystopia. That's why it's so incredibly important to stand up and fight back. Thankfully, everyone going through it thinks there's no way we're going to make it through it. Everything's all bad. And then they make it through it and everything's so much better. And they're like, oh, wow, I'm so glad we went through that. And then you say, hey, how about we go through it again? That way things can be even better. You say, hell no, are you crazy? So I tell people, hey, this is going to get really bad. We're going to go through hell. And they say, oh, you're black-pilled. You're black-pilled. No, we're going to get through it, but only if we stand up. I'm reality pilled. If you're saying we're not going to go through hell, you're the one living in some sort of fantasy land. The turnings can't be stopped. It's coming. Things are going to be crashing down around us. But if we stay strong, we point the blame where it belongs, not only can we have this high followed by the awakening, we can absolutely just destroy these globalists and make sure they never, ever come back. Of course, what's the whole golden age prophecy? We got 1,000 years of a golden age, and then Satan gets let back out of his cage. So we can head in this golden age and things are going to be great. Eventually, we're going to have problems again. New problems, far more technologically advanced problems. So this fourth turning is going to end around 2032-ish. Weird how they want to get everything done by 2030. I wonder if they know something's coming. If you follow any of the mini ice age guys as well, solar activity is going down. That sort of stuff affects us, affects our planet, affects our climate. We are starting to see some very strange things, especially electromagnetic phenomenon in the sky, that sort of thing. Strange weather. It's not because of man-made global warming. It's the gigantic sun. You ever seen a comparison of the sun to the earth, and then you see a comparison of a person to the earth? It's not us. It's the sun. We go through a 400-ish year cycle, a grand solar minimum, where we have a bunch of solar minimums in a row. And that lack of output from the sun causes food shortages. What do food shortages cause? Revolutions. They're doing all these strange things to destroy our supply chain, to destroy our food. They're trying to create food shortages. Weird. It's almost like they know really bad food shortages are coming and they want to make it even worse, exacerbate the problem. Why? To make us desperate, so we give them all the power, so they can put us under their social credit system, their carbon credit system, so on and so forth, their mark of the beast. But this is going to backfire. My stance is we have to hit rock bottom. We decide where that rock bottom is. When I'm talking about the rock bottom, I'm talking about the end of the fourth turning. It's not just some crazy black-pilled apocalypse theory. It's the history of Western civilization. But I think they're going to push too hard, too fast. You wonder why they're kind of getting ahead of themselves, like with all the COVID lockdowns and stuff? Why are they so desperate? Because there's only so much time. They're seeming to be desperate because they are desperate. But the more desperate they get, the more awake we're going to get. Of course, the crazier the crazies are going to get. But us, those with half a brain cell, we're going to wake up to it. The normies are waking up to it far faster than they normally would be. So all this stuff backfires. That's why I say I support things like Trump getting arrested, to wake people up. Because we get Trump in 2024, hell, we even get DeSantis in 2024. It's not going to stop the fourth turning from happening. We're still going to hit rock bottom, guys. Think Trump's going to come save us all you want. It's not going to happen. All those Republicans all fired up about the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Oh, we're going to investigate. That's all it's going to be, investigating. Nothing's going to get done, guys. Stop putting all your faith in professional losers like the Republicans. Only one person you should be putting your faith in. That's yourself. That's it. No one's coming to save us but us. And it's us getting prepared. So that way when the crash happens, they can't just put us all into a slave system. Be prepared for it. Tell others about it so others can be prepared for it. And even if they don't get prepared for it, they'll hear us. And then when bad stuff keeps happening and happening, they're like, maybe they were onto something. At some point, they will click and have that moment where they're like, oh, wow, evil people run this world. That's all we can really do, but that's all we need to do. We're not stopping the fourth turning. But we have to stop them from turning it into the final turning. We have to make sure there's some sort of future. Even if everything's destroyed, we got to make sure at least some part of Western civilization survives. So what are you doing? What are you doing? Sitting and complaining? Thinking the Republicans are going to come save us? Are you f***ing kidding me? You must be very new to this. I hate to break it to you, but the Republicans are at best controlled opposition. I don't believe in government incompetence. I believe in premeditated evil. But people like Trump and the Republicans make a good case for incompetence. That's best case scenario. They are incompetent. I argue they are far, far worse than that. So what are you going to do? You're going to let those morons save us, or are you going to stand up and save yourself? I know what I'm doing.